Hey, welcome to the Danger Zone. It's Ashley. All the pictures in my video were found on a public domain or donated to my channel by the original owner. Thank you. Lots of love and many blessings your way. Okay, we need to go back and revisit the whole prankster call. I need to share with you guys what I found out. Everybody's under the assumption that Megan set this call up, but that's just not the case. Why would she set it up if it's going to come back on her in a negative light? I don't think so. I am going to tell you guys every word, blow by blow, from that phone call. Then I'm going to tell you who really set it up. He starts the conversation off as, "You can call me whatever you want. Harry's just fine, thank you." Now, when he was asked about Mexit, he said, that's probably a conversation for another time. There's a lot of layers to it and lots of pieces to the puzzle. But sometimes the right decision isn't always the easy one, I can assure you. Marrying a prince or princess is not all it's made out to be. And this decision certainly wasn't the easy one, but it was the right decision for our family, the right decision to be able to protect my son. And I think there's a hell of a lot of people around the world that can identify and respect us for putting our family first. But yeah, it's a tricky one. But we'll start a new life. And when asked about his life in Canada, he says, "Oh no, I think it's much better than rural life. You forget I was in the military for 10 years. So I'm more normal than my family would like to believe. But certainly being in a different position now gives us the ability to say things and do things that we might not have been able to do otherwise. And seeing as everyone under the age of 35 or 36 seems to be carrying out an activist role, gives us the opportunity to try and make more of a difference without being criticized." And he chuckles. Here's where it gets real and interesting. Now, when he was asked about being stripped of his royal titles and all the perks that go along with, no, again, you mustn't believe what you read. No one has stripped us of our titles. Because of technicality within the family, if we're earning money separately from within the family structure, we obviously have been asked not to use our titles in order to make that money, which we would just never do. But the press managed to jump on that to make it look like we have just been stripped. I think at the moment my wife and we were being directed towards starting a foundation, but we actually decided there's probably enough foundations out there doing amazing work. There's a hell of a lot of money being passed around the world, and there are so many problems, but we thought we'd just take a moment and see if there was some form of other organization or a different entity we could create that would bring people together rather than just us starting a foundation. We really don't think the world needs another foundation from us. Side note, remember in the last video we spoke about their new lease at the old BBC television center for their latest charitable foundation? So which is it, Harry? So we're just taking a little bit more time to think about how we can use our platform and how we can use our voice to try and encourage real change and real difference as opposed to, small incremental changes. What is he talking about? And he goes on. As we all know, the world's problems seem to be getting bigger and seem to be happening far quicker. I think the solutions are far quicker to enable as well. But there needs to be a real shift in mindset. We try and do our best. Spent many years being criticized by the media for doing all sorts of things and trying to change the way we think. And I can sympathize, but at the same time, applaud the work that all of you are doing because it's not an easy time. The world is a troubled place and can be very easy to give up. And I think what you guys are doing, absolutely remarkable. The mere fact that Donald Trump's pushing the coal industry is so big in America. He has the blood on his hands. But Trump will want to meet you to make him look better, but he won't want to have a discussion about climate change because you'll outsmart him. Now, whether you have the option to meet the president or Boris Johnson, I think I would always. Far more important to have an open dialogue and have conversation with these people than not. And regarding his uncle and his uncle's friends, he says, "I have very little to say on that, but whatever he's done or he hasn't done is completely separate from me and my wife. We operate in a way of inclusivity, and we're focusing on community and so we're completely separate from the majority of my family. Isn't it interesting who he runs to when he's in trouble? And when asked about Boris Johnson, he says, I think he's a good man, so you're one of the few people who can reach into his soul and get him to feel and believe in you. But you have to understand that because he has been around for so long, like all of these other people, they're already set in their ways. They believe what they want to believe. They believe what they've been told. So what you're now saying to them is not only inconvenient, but it's completely against everything they've ever believed. So that's what you're up against. You're up against changing habits, as you know. In other words, you guys, he's pre-programming how people are thinking. And he goes on and says, what you need to do is make some huge changes. Some shock factor. That will wake people up. Okay. Let me just interject something real fast. He's given us his gameplay, his strategy here. The BS Mexit situation was that huge shock factor, that massive change that is meant to wake us all up. Listen, I made quite a bit of discovery over the weekend, and we're going to talk about that in the next video. But let's get on with this. And he was asked about the election. He said the fact that our choice was between those two individuals, in my mind, I think probably creates more of an observation that the system itself might be broken. There's a lot that the leaders of today can learn and can listen to people like yourself. Did any of that make sense? Lay off your stuff when you're on the phone, dummy. Okay, so he was asked about his private jet usage. And here's his answer. Unfortunately, Greta, there are so few other options. We have to fly on commercial planes all over the world. Nowhere near as much as most people who do it for a night or weekends. He's totally avoiding the private jet question. And then he goes on to say, certainly for my family, to protect my family from these people. As you can well understand, that just like flushed me with pistivity. Who are these people, y'all? Are we these people? He goes on to say, I have to put the protections and safety of my family first, and these people are never ending. He was not referring to the media as of yet. Here we go. When asked about the media, he said the best advice I can give on that is to be able to see through the fear. What they don't understand is the battle we're fighting against them. It's far more than just us. So I think what I've always believed, one of the strongest ways to change mindset and be able to raise consciousness is be able to create self-awareness among people, is to challenge the media and say you have a responsibility and you're accountable for everything you're feeding people because you're brainwashing people. So this is far bigger than just us. And next, the entire situation flips around and a most bizarre conversation ensues. Here we go. The Greta character says she's a distant member of the Swedish royal family. Harry replies with a chuckle. Oh, wow, so are we related? Yeah, it's true, she says, and if it'll help me in fighting for climate change, should I arrange a dynastic marriage, do you think? I think it'll help. Harry says, I'm certain it'll help. The Greta character giggles and she says, I found some candidates that suits me. James Windsor and Prince George. Their ages I think are very suitable for my marriage. It'll help. And Harry responded, I'm sure I can help. Then they talk about moving the penguins to the North Pole. Greta went on saying, now we are dealing with an issue of moving penguins from Belarus to their native land, the North Pole. About 50 penguins were stuck at customs in Belarus. That's terrible, and we're searching for some ship maybe to transport these poor penguins back to their native land. The fake dad says, North Pole, perhaps you have some contacts for people who can help us. And of course Harry replies, I do have a man who deals with the North Pole. He's in Norway. He can help us. Maybe he knows all the right people. I'll give you the contacts on email. And right after that, Harry decided to give all his contact information over to these people he was talking to. You guys, keep in mind he fell for this not one time but twice. And it should totally prove that he has no idea how to speak to people without a teleprompter or someone in his ear. He's dumb as a stump. These Russian pranksters are talking about releasing conversation number 2 anytime now. How did they get his contact information initially? Think about it. Here's what was told to me. This was William's way of paying Harry back for all of his troubles. He wants the entire world to realize Harry is just not what he thinks he is. And he did a great job at making both Harry and Meghan look even dumber, in my opinion. Proof positive, be careful who you piss off. I can't wait for the second conversation to come out. It's said to be even worse. I'll see you soon and we'll talk fast. Y'all stay safe and be blessed.